Hello.
Yo,
Hey, how's it going?
can you hear me all right?
Yep, you're good.
All right, cool.
All right. So what's the issue today? What are we going
Um,
over?
this is versus Ryo it goes last hit. Um, I died to some stuff. It's just I just want this to be a much more like I feel like I'm pretty good at the Peach Ditto, and I definitely
Mm-hmm.
want to go over specific or for my level or whatever. Um, and I definitely am down to go over Peach specifics, but I just kind of want this to be like a much more general matchup for me as like a player, I guess. I don't know if that's too
Mm.
corny, but like
Like you want to know like when the match starts and you're on stage, like what should you be thinking or
yeah, or just pointing out like bad habits I have or bad
okay.
flowcharts. I feel like I have a good game plan for most matchups, but I still have a lot of these really bad peach habits from
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if that makes sense. But I definitely do want to look at specifics of this matchup because I really love this matchup.
Okay. So you're which one?
I'm blue peach.
You're Blue Peach. Okay.
So
Yeah, this matchup is incredibly fun.
yeah,
It's really fun.
I hear people like, "Oh, a peach ditto, a snooze fest."
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
it's it's a snooze fest if you don't know what's going on.
yeah, I guess you're right.
Armada famously hated the Peach Ditto, but that's because I think that it's it's you can't get an advantage using Peach over people. I don't know. It feels like it was just probably kind of annoying for him. But I think it's a fun matchup.
Yeah, I think it's really fun.
Okay. Okay. Going Armada style with the Ferris. There's also like a backer type of style for the matchup. They're both
Yeah.
pretty equally good. Hmm. Hmm. Little impatient coming back, or
Yeah,
he
definitely.
was. Oh. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Not too much has happened yet. Hmm. So, one thing I think that could help is you don't want to. So, obviously, it's a very even matchup because it's two exactly the same characters. Like, so you're not going to get an advantage from the character itself, but that doesn't mean that you can't create or sort of focus in on like asymmetry between the two peaches. So
Okay.
it looks like so far you're just sort of like, well, we will play neutral with each other, and then if I'm better, I will win the neutral, and then I'll win. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it sort of creates like if there's no reason why you have an advantage, it quickly sort of becomes just rock paper scissors, and it can become difficult to get a big lead or lose badly because if you're both playing like that. So what you want to do is you want to try to create sort of a character, like you want to say like this isn't peach versus peach, this is my peach versus your peach. And so you have to focus very hard on what game plan the other peach is executing, and like because they're generally going to space using certain options, and you have to either figure out a game plan that is strong, like overall like a winning matchup against their game plan, or you have to like execute your game plan in a way that can deal with it. But usually you have to play very adaptive to win, in my opinion. So, for instance, like, I don't know how many games you guys have played before this. Okay, so yeah, I don't really get what was up with that turnip throw or that turnip throw. And it looks kind of like you're just like, well, I'm close, so I'm gonna hit. Like it doesn't. There's not too much going on here in terms of like what it looks like you're thinking. It's just sort of like, well, I will win because I'll throw out my hitboxes better than you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah, so I'll get into more how you can do that in a second, but that's sort of the general idea that I'm seeing. Is it doesn't look like you're really trying to create imbalance. Because if you're both doing the same things and you're both just playing neutral, you're not gonna win unless you just completely outplay them in neutral. And obviously you have to outplay them to win in a ditto, but like you don't want to be playing someone on an even playing field. Like if you can, for instance, in a fox ditto, if you have a better punish than the other guy, then you want the match to come down to who has the better punish game. That's like your goal. And so it's kind of like that. Oh man, ditch phase. It's kind of like that, but like you want to see what type of spacing they're comfortable with and try to like move them into the parts of the matchup where they're not as comfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think playing really aggressive in the matchup is really fun. And I can understand why you're kind of playing aggro. But at the same time, I think you need, like, the information gathering is really important.
Yeah. I think I get in this mindset of, like, oh, if I just go in, they can't camp me. Because I don't want it to be campy. Because I just have fun, like, I guess just doing rock, paper, scissors, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on, like, what your goal is. If your goal is to have the match over soon, then probably rushing in is a good idea. Yeah. But if your goal is to win the match, then just trying to make it fast doesn't necessarily benefit you.
No, totally.
Also, this is like a totally useless fair because fair's You know about fair's knockback growth, right?
No. I'm also blue peach.
You're blue peach?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought you were green peach. I switched back and forth in my head. I was watching Blue Peach for a while, and then suddenly switched to Green Peach.
Yeah, Green Peach is Ryobi, or Nico.
Yeah. How did that happen? It's because I was watching the Blue Peach, and then I was like, oh man, okay. The same thing is happening pretty much on both sides. Yeah, so it's not that different because you're both just kind of hitting each other, and I think I just got confused there, so my bad.
You're fine.
What was I talking about a second ago, though?
The knockback.
Yeah. Okay, so my bad on getting the pieces confused for a second. But okay, so so fair has very strong initial knockback, but it has very bad knockback growth. So it actually kills it basically never kills. It'll kill at like 180. So Nair obviously starts weaker than fair, because fair at low percents is like nasty. So at low percents you want to use fair, but if someone's at a higher percent, you always want to Nair them because the fair won't kill, but the Nair will.
Interesting.
So that's actually like very important in the Peach Ditto.
Yeah.
It's relevant in pretty much every stock. Is that like you want Nair to be your kill move? Well, Nair or up air. But fair will not get you a kill unless you're off stage. And there's things like this where it's really tempting, where you pull a turnip, and then there's a lot of situations where versus other characters, you wouldn't really worry too hard about... You wouldn't really worry too much about sort of just moving and throwing a turnip, but you just have to be very careful to mitigate risk because you're not going to be getting these heavy punishes, usually. Like if you're playing a fox or a falco, sometimes you can just jump and throw the turnip because a lot of times if you get them with it, maybe you'll get a really big punish. But versus Peach, it's very easily this can happen, and then you might get stuck in disadvantage for like a full minute or something, where you're trying to come down and they're like continually grabbing you and forward throwing you off or something like that. It can get really ugly. So just be super aware that like your goal should be to give up no openings. That should be like your initial goal, because if you give them anything for free, it's just it gets bad really fast because it's so percent heavy.
Something that helped me in the Marth matchup that you told me, you made a joke about like how I just throw my turnips out,
Mm-hmm.
and I like you made a joke like turnip time. Like, and so like I'll want to throw it in the match. I'll be like, it's not turnip time. It's not turnip time.
I'm very glad that stuck with you. That's very funny.
So I do need to think about that in the matchup. Like,
Yeah,
I just want
Mm-hmm.
to create these lines almost that I think I'm creating. Like, oh, you can't pass this turnip, and then they just pass it.
Yeah,
just, like, sneak under
there's the thing with the ditto also, there's certain situations where you have a turnip and you want to throw it, and they kind of get into a position where you don't really want to throw it. It's a lot of times better to just drop it. Like you'll have time later to pick up another turnip because Peach is so slow.
Yeah.
So she's not going to be able to catch you if you're far away, but like if you get caught with a turnip, it can sometimes be very bad for you. Okay. Okay, good back air. Wait, did you double jump into this? Okay, you don't want to do this float. The double jump into float here is bad because, okay, so one of the strongest tools in the whole matchup is float backwards, then fast fall double jump back air. That is extremely strong. And it's extremely strong because you can change your float momentum. You don't even need to fast fall, but that's like a common mix-up out of it. You can do you can do float, like full hop float, drift back, or sorry, drift in, then drift back, double jump in back air.
Yeah,
and it's like it's so good. I actually stole that, I believe, from Mog, and it works really well. Yeah, and then so there's situations like this where you're like, okay, he's coming down right here, and if you were perfect, you'd have an opening here, but you don't see an opening. But also, if you're doing a shield and they're gonna down smash you, you don't want to be in shield. Like, they want to down smash your shield,
Yeah.
So when you're in a situation like this, a lot of times just rolling and resetting the situation is better than because, okay, so this is a good example of like a situation where these are equal characters, but one might be in an advantage. It's kind of hard to tell who's in an advantage because you can probably punish this. But if he gets the down smash on your shield, a lot of times that won't work out very well for you. So it's a lot of times better to just reset and look for advantageous positions. Like, basically, you don't want to interact until you're in a position where you are the winning Peach.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, for instance, like in a situation like this, it's difficult to perfectly space everything, obviously, but you need to be super aware of, like, Peach has this little bubble around her that she can only hit things within the bubble, and you don't want to simply, like, hang out in the bubble. Like, there's no reason to ever space yourself such that, like, this dash attack will work. Okay, missed back air, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, yeah, that down air is okay. These nairs, I think... These nairs are not that bad, but they don't really do too much because you're not paying attention to the vertical plane at all. Like, this is just... You might as well have, not necessarily dash attacked because it's really laggy, but you're basically doing a similar thing where you're like, I'm just going to throw this out, and I hope you shield here. But the problem is that if they full hop up this way right here, they have like that height advantage thing, which I'm sure you've experienced in the matchup, where like they're up here and you're down here, and it feels bad because they can like mess with you, either with a fair or a back air sort of like pressure, kind of like the passive pressure of being up here. So it's not bad to do these, but you really want to be aware. Or like this float, this is kind of like a useless float. Like, what does floating at this height do? All it does is loses to floating at this height.
Yeah.
And now you're at the full hop height. The other peach doesn't have a lot of options here. They do have the turnip pull. So when you're floating here, a really common option for the other peach is like, this is a very asymmetrical situation. So the other peach a lot of times will want turnip throw and try to get you out of the air with the turnip. Then you don't have your float anymore, and then they get the full hop up, and they get into their position.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what he was going for. If that, like, he reacted with the nair when he was coming down.
To which part?
So like right where you're talking about, where he like after I whiff that, he does that exact jump you were talking about to claim that space. Like he sacrifices it.
This part?
Yeah. See, like you were like.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened, because that position is so strong.
Yeah.
So it's like you're sort of fighting for the strong positions. And center stage is useful, but like neither of these characters are going to get like down aired or shined in this matchup. Like the Peach doesn't have a Ken combo. So the center stage matters like a little bit less. Obviously, if you're in the center and they're in the corner, you still have more options, so that's good. But a lot of times this vertical movement is so much more important. And it's not always the most important thing, but it's pretty important. And like, you should never be getting hit by turnips like this. Like, it doesn't really make sense why you'd get hit by that. Yeah, and then so this is like, you're kind of just like, okay, like it appears that you're trying to play the game at first, and then you kind of like embrace the chaos, like go for the hit, like it's okay, and then you're just kind of trying to like fight it out. And it's like, yeah, you won this situation, but you basically, like, if you had any kind of advantage in neutral, you gave it away for, like, basically just like a rock, paper, scissors match. Yeah. Okay, so that was good. This is like sort of like how you beat worse peaches. If you're playing somebody who's like kind of worse than you, is you get them to throw it like a back air like this. This is a free punish. Like you got it. It's a pretty much, you know.
I honestly feel like that carries me.
Like whiff punishing it.
Yeah, just whiff punishing. Like,
that is. Well, the thing is like you have to kind of just convince the other player to do. So either the matchup. I think, okay, so the matchup is basically, if you're both playing it really, really perfectly, it's very difficult to create imbalance over the other player, and the matchup won't be aggressive. If you're both playing, like, perfectly to prevent the other person from getting an advantageous position over you. But the fact that it's not aggressive, like, what does aggressive mean? You know, does aggressive mean the characters, when they are far apart, always immediately close in on each other? Because, yeah, you're going to do that. You're going to passively pressure. But what you're not going to try to do is just constantly try to hit them. Because this will kind of work, and I've played like this before, but you will lose to people who are playing to just prevent you from getting in a good position on them. Mm-hmm. So your first step should be, can I get to a good position? Because there are peaches who don't know sort of how the float heights work, or how, you know, they're just sort of fighting. And if they're just sort of fighting and you're playing with a clear plan of only fighting out of advantageous positions, you will just win every time. And when they also are playing to prevent you from getting a good position, you can be better at the positional game than them. Yeah. So it gives you sort of like a place to be better. Because if you're just sort of throwing out moves, you're just saying like, I'm better at my hitboxes connecting. And that's not really, there's not like a lot of room to outplay there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. This actually makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, so you lose this interaction because you go for like, I'm gonna go for a float height that's 80% of the optimal float height of the full hop. And so he goes for the full height, although you float in a little quickly, so he adapts by double jumping out of it, and like you've done the thing that you seek to destroy. You've become the Peach who just aerials in and then gets punished for free.
With punish, yeah.
This is part of the advantage of that backwards float thing I was talking about. Ryobi does it for a second here, where he's floating in, and then he does the double jump back this way. This is like a really good way to like bait the other Peach out a lot of times, and he gets a dash attack for it. But he gets too aggressive here again. These types of pressures with this double jump here, it's just such a dice roll. You're not in a better position than the other Peach, so why try to fight it out? Okay, good punish on his full hop. Yeah, sort of lost the positional battle. Yeah, and running away like this doesn't make any sense here. You have center. Okay. Like, if you're gonna run away, just run away to here. It'll still take Peach a long time to reach you. You basically...
I think it's my Marth, like, matchup. Like, I need to get away to pull a turnip.
Yeah, like, I need to get to the next, like, state to pull a turnip over here.
That's definitely what that is.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're right.
But yeah, you don't need that. And the other thing is, like, pulling a turnip doesn't necessarily even help you here. Because it's kind of like, okay, so wait, where was it? Did we go past it already? Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah. Oh, whatever. Alright, I'm gonna ignore it. Actually, I'll just go back. I'll go back a little bit more. Okay. Also, I haven't seen enough Wave Dash back. Wave Dash back is really, really good in this matchup.
Noted.
Alright, yeah, whatever. We're past the turnip thing.
I know the point you're making.
Yeah, you got the point. Another thing is right here. I haven't seen you go for the air dodge yet. The down air is okay, but you're basically hoping that they just mess up, kind of. Like, the down air is good, and it'll kind of work forever, but if you're this Peach, you never feel like they deserve the down air.
Yeah,
and it's because like you could have just like up aired into it, or you could have just gotten out of the way and dash attacked it again, or something like that. So you can do it, but like I would also recommend mixing in sort of like falling right here and then air dodging back and down to here. The air dodge recovery is very good, just in general, but also in this matchup. That was really good. The back air behind the shield. Yeah, too aggressive on the down airs on the umbrella. That's just like hubris. Like you're not gonna go through that. If you want to try to get the umbrella, you wait, you float. So there's a couple ways to do it. You can float past, and then when they umbrella, you can float back with the down air. Or you can wait right here, and then if they go too high, because there's this point where like Peach's hitbox disappears right at like the peak.
Yeah. And
then you had time here. If you were waiting, you could have punished this. But if you get too aggressive there, you're just gonna get hit by it. And look at this fair. Fair just does not kill.
Yeah, I actually did know that.
See, like that'll already be a giant, huge boost. Like that's a really big deal.
Well, I like watch a lot of Peach dittos like on commentary. Like I just go through VODs, and the commentators are always like, I don't know, it's a floating matchup. Like that's literally what they do.
No, oh, don't get me started. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves is like no one can commentate. Like if you watch any video on YouTube of a Peach versus any other character, you start to realize that the commentary is always from the person against the Peach. It's so weird. Yeah. You're like, wait a minute. And I think it's just because Peach is kind of a weird character in comparison. Oh my goodness, really? Okay, you were at extreme kill percent, so he just went for some random trick. Okay, so right here, what is your goal here? Because it looks like your goal is, I'm going to throw this, and I'm going to float as close as I can to him and nair.
Alright, so just pause it. So I just think I think I still have this bad matchup, or this bad habit I did with Marth, where I, like, think I'm creating space. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm creating this line like you can't go here, so that means you have to go here and I'll hit you. Is like what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much,
Well,
especially a good Peach is much more better at like making that line not exist.
so it's not a bad thing to think of it like that. Like, you are taking space with this turnip, but you're taking space horizontally. So, like, let's say you throw this turnip right here, and then he
Hmm.
just full hops and floats right here. You gain space, but the vertical plane, being close to Peach this way, doesn't mean a lot when they're gonna be up here.
Yeah.
And if you watch Armada play this matchup, he's like ruthless. He just gets that full hop float over and over, and
Yeah.
he prefers to play it forward with the forward air, and that's like a matter of preference, pretty much, as far as I'm concerned. Like, there might be one that's better than the other, but I haven't necessarily found it. I kind of prefer the back air, at least not at low percents. Like, at low percents, the fair is best when he's at low percents, because then you might get like a fair knockdown into a fair or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you have to think of it as like, am I actually putting the other Peach into a disadvantaged state with what I'm doing? And
Or
it's
am I
like,
just doing a rock paper scissors?
you're just kind of chasing her over here and then going for moves. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, you have invincibility, you have free ability to gain space right here. So you like throwing this turnip, it might even be a
Yeah.
little unnecessary. So it's like, okay,
I
so
wasted 5 frames.
so you have to think about this. So you pull the turnip and you run here. Let's say you don't throw this turnip and you're right here. What can Peach do if you are here in center to gain a sort of like asymmetrical position on you? She can jump. So this turnip should be placed to cover her full hop, because she's trying to get to this full hop float position. And that's immediately what he goes for. And you don't really have an answer except for the fact that he double jump cancels and falls. So if you're right here and you ran up and you did full hop turnip throw, right here, it would actually cover this option. And I'm not saying that he would jump into the turnip, but I'm saying he can't jump right here anymore.
Hmm.
So if you cover, so like, don't just think of the turnip as like, this turnip is going to pressure you by nature of it being out and it being a hitbox. The turnip is not pressure. Your pressure, the turnip is like, you are the pressure. The Peach's body is the pressure. The turnip is there to prevent them from going to a different position. And so what this turnip does is it prevents the opponent from coming towards you. But you are trying to get over to your opponent. Them coming towards you
Yeah.
while you're invincible would be good. So this
Yeah.
option, all this does is make sure that Peach moves away from you, which isn't what you wanted.
Yeah.
So the more conscious your turnips can be to... Another thing here is, a lot of times when people go up like this, you don't want to be in this grounded position. You also want to... Usually a safe thing to think about is like generally kind of match their height, or go... You don't want to really go above it because they can kind of sneak underneath you. But matching their height is kind of a good rule of like... By doing this, like, if you could pick a Peach to be here, it would be this one, because you can just wait this out, and then even if you don't get like even if the Peach lands with it, you get the chance to float here, and now you have the drop air dodge mix-ups or drop aerial mix-ups, stuff like that. And so he gets the bear out of it and then gets all this damage. Okay, that was good. Okay, the turnip throw was okay, but once again, how are you creating, like, if let's say if you're in the air and you have your float and the enemy Peach does not have their float, you have created an imbalance where you have an advantage.
Hmm.
So throwing this turnip, it was like, Peach, don't come in on me. And Peach was like, I'm not running in at you anyway. I am jumping.
Yeah.
And then these fares, or sorry, this nair is fine, but this one is just pure greed because it's not doing anything really. If you're gonna do a fair like, if you're gonna do a nair like this, sorry, if you're gonna do a nair like this, you should usually do something immediately afterward that's more aggressive. You got this nair down smash, but like if the other peach had just waited, this wouldn't have done anything. Okay, so those are good dash attacks. Yeah, this is that giving up space thing again. It's not like super bad, but you weren't in a bad spot before. Like if you watch from Ryobeat's perspective, you're right here. He just got this kind of thing, and he shields. He's worried, and then he's like, "Oh, okay." Like now it's an even game. Like he was on the back foot. Okay, so that was good. Ooh, okay, so this is an example of a good sequence. So you see him floating, you say, okay, so what this does is you jump up, he thinks you're gonna throw the turnip, which is a big mix up here. You don't throw the turnip, and you say, look, if you were gonna like super float in immediately and try to like, maybe nair through the turnip and hurt me, you can't now because this back air is here, but I'm also not giving up my vertical positioning, and he gave up his turnip.
Mm-hmm.
So now you still have your turnip, and nothing went wrong, and so you drop and you throw it, and then he still tries to nair through it, but this was not a bad option coverage because it was like, okay, I'm in the air, my float just ran out, I'm landing, then he has a pretty good chance of maybe coming in. He could have also jumped, but like, it wasn't a bad idea to do that, and then you use the ensuing pressure from like the turnip dropping on his shield to do this down smash. That's good play. And yeah, so this I think a big part is that you're not aware necessarily of like the fact that like it feels like you're floating so that you can get your aerials out. But you need to be floating for position.
Okay, that makes sense.
So like when you're here, Peach's options here are kind of like land or try to double jump out of the way. But importantly, neither of those options has as much vertical as you full hopping. So you go for this, and he just goes for his landing mix-up. This is all he really has here. So you have the full hop float, and the other peaches in the corner. That is about as much imbalance as you can create in like a neutral situation. But you don't go for the full height. You just sort of float and fair at like head height, and you didn't... Like, this doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Like, what move could Ryobeat have done here to actually get hit? He could have maybe dash attacked into you? Like, this is a completely useless fair. Because you used up... So, if you're not thinking about the position as a resource, then you think, I didn't lose anything here. I covered his option of him coming in with the fair. But what you did is you just equalized the position. Because as if he sees you starting this fair right here, he can just full hop, and now you're in this awkward situation where it's kind of hard to catch him. And so the fact that you got this situation out, you have to be careful not to give this up. If you had full hopped right here, you have like, what is it, 3 seconds, I think? You have like 3 full seconds of pressure. Where you're right here and you're going, oh, maybe now, and then even after you drop out of the float, you still have a double jump mix-up. So you have all these different ways to put pressure on your opponent and maintain the tension and try to see if you can, like, get a win. Because that's the whole thing, is, like, you're going to have to get a neutral win no matter what situation you're in. So what you want to do is you want to try to get in an advantageous position and then win neutral. And you can't maintain your advantage forever with this float. But you have like 3 or so seconds, plus the double jump mix-up, to try to win neutral. This is when you want to play the game. So by going for this wall, you create essentially an even situation. And so, getting this nice situation where he doesn't have an option except to land and you get to full hop float and he's in the corner, it's all gone now. And now you're just back at even, and you might as well have, he might as well have taken damage off in the blast zone. Like, this damage doesn't do anything because it's not giving you an advantageous position to maybe get more damage. And yeah, so he just gets out, and you're like, "What? But I cornered him, and he was on the back foot." And it's like, yeah, well, you didn't take advantage of it, and so he obviously just gets out. Ooh, nice. Okay, good. These are good too. And because the idea is that in these positions, he's not thinking to jump immediately because of the spacing, where if he jumps and you full hop, turnip throw, nair, it'll combo. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want to just immediately jump here because he doesn't have the luxury of like jumping and being safe. If he jumps here, he might just get sniped into a combo. So this is a good turnip because you're saying, okay, the jump here is inherently kind of dangerous because of my spacing. So when I throw this, Peach wants to create a little bit of space here for her wave dash back or her dash back. And because if she doesn't have that, obviously she's very stuck. Like this is like extremely in the corner. It's not even like here in the corner. It's like there's no room to move backwards at all. So doing this throw is great because if he wants to avoid this turnip, he either has to like walk forward and grab it or shield it, and both of those hold him in the corner. Mm-hmm. So that's why this was good, and he's trying to get out of the corner for that reason. You re-grab the turnip. He gets... This is just him not being as good of a player as he could be by going for this desperate fair. There's no reason for this. Remember, you like float is a resource. You have several seconds of said resource. So by immediately floating and then giving up your float, you're saying, actually, I play a character whose float is a quarter second long. And if Peach's float was a quarter second long, she would be a worse character. And I don't really get what... So the thing is, when you're recovering, or when they're recovering, so this is kind of what I was talking about, where you want to be equal to their height, sort of. And the idea is that you don't want to let them just go high and get away. Mm-hmm. Because going high and getting away is like the number one thing that the Peach will try to do. So your goal should be to say you can't get away by going high. There will be plenty of times where you hit them off and they go high and there's nothing you can do. That's just how the matchup is. But if they're kind of at this height, what you don't want is for them to just double jump and float right here, and you have nothing you can do but just throw a useless turnip and then they land. That's a very common situation in the matchup. So you need to position yourself such that double jumping and getting away is not good. But you don't want to just go as high up as possible because then they just get the ground for free. So there's sort of like a balance here. Kind of like when you're dash dancing. You know, you don't want to be too close, but you don't want to be too far. You want to be at kind of like a threatening range where you're like, kind of like, don't you try going high. You know, like, don't go for it. But at the same time, you're still playing the game of the ground here. So look, so when he goes up right here, if he had not immediately gone for this fair... This is really awkward. This is very difficult to actually hit the enemy Peach out of here. Yeah. But if right here, when you had done this, if you jumped up and you caught the turnip and then you... I wouldn't even say catching the turnip is that great here. Probably the best option here would be throw this turnip here and then just jump up and float right here. That's just like... That's so scary for this Peach. Yeah. You're just right here. You're like, look, as soon as you imply you're floating in this range, you're getting drop nared, and you can't go up high because I'm already waiting for you. And it's just such a nasty threat. Even with back air right here, too. You're just waiting, and then a really common thing I'll do is I'll jump up and I'll float like this, and then they'll kind of like air dodge on or something, and then I double jump this way to get a boost this way, and then I back air them. That way they make... Like, that way they can't get, past me. Like, I'll be here and I'll kind of float in so they think, oh, he's floating in, he can't get me. So they go in like this and then you just double jump back this way so you can keep them off the stage. But, like, a position like this with, like, just holding that with a float, like, you can feel that. Like, that's so scary from this Peach's edge. Whereas what you're doing is basically, like, a free invitation to come back to the neutral game. And, yeah, when this actually happens and they actually get up to this height and they're doing this... You're not really going to get much. And you actually get reversaled out of it. And so, here's an interesting thing. So you try to do the exact same recovery as him.
Yeah.
But he... So notice that he doesn't stop at the full hop float. He double jumps up with you to match your height. Mm-hmm. And so what this does, especially now that you've aerialed, is like, if you continue floating in with your aerial... he will back air you. If you try to float back with your aerial, he'll float back with you, and now you're in the same spot but more off stage. And so you become sort of trapped, and you go for the float in, and that's why you get back aired. But if you had gone for anything else, you might have still gotten pressured. And obviously, I'm assuming you know the down throw combos. Like like down throw dash attack is really common, and then like you can do stuff like down throw, and then like you can go for like dash nairs and stuff like that, and they're just kind of put in a very awkward spot by the down throw. And then at these higher percents, you have down throw up smash if they DI wrong.
Yeah, which I did.
Okay, do you have another game I could look at? Is this if this is the only game, we'll just go over this game again and find more things.
I think that's actually I have another one.
Okay.
But it's not against Nico. It's against
That's fine.
I think this is Blue's Clues.
But I hope this is giving you sort of a better idea
of
definitely... like playing for the good positions, and you use turnips to cover them also trying to play for the good position, and you want them to feel like, man, I just can't get into a good position.
No, yeah, you're right.
And if they try to fight you anyway, they go, I can't get in a good position, whatever, we're fighting. Then you go, okay, we're fighting, but based on the positioning, this is a 60-40 matchup.
Yeah, I'm much more like just really hyper focused on like, no, I'll get my hitboxes out first, and mine will win. I'll win because I'll do them faster, or something.
And it's very tempting because that's by far the most fun way to play the matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like, yeah, get up, just throw it, spam it, get it, float, attack. Yeah. Like, and it's kind of like, that's great. And if you're both doing it, that can be really fun. But it's also just like kind of random. It's like two foxes naring at each other. Like short hop naring at each other. It's the same thing. It's kind of like, well, you don't really want to do that if you're trying to actually win the game.
It's fun, but like...
Yeah, it's fun, but it doesn't give you an advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
And you need to be looking for advantages.
I don't really remember this game that well. I looked at the other one before the lesson, but...
Okay, yeah, no problem. So you're...
I'm Green Peach this time.
You're Green Peach, okay. I'm gonna get it. Okay.
I'll mix it up on you again.
Okay, so this is actually a great example to start. So you both start with turnip pluck. Actually, wait, is this completely synchronized? No, he's like 1 frame faster. 2 frames, whatever it is. This is an idea. So you immediately go for this. Correct. This is good. I don't really get what this fair is, because you're giving up your action ability here. So during this fair, your opponent is like... I'm not going to focus too much on what exactly your opponent does, I guess. But basically the idea is like... If I was the other Peach and I saw this, I would immediately full hop right here and throw a turnip. And the idea is that while you're stuck in the fair, you might get hit by the turnip. Now you have no float, and I'm at full hop height, and I have a float. And now we're going to fight. And I'm going to try to force us to fight. Because I have this great position. Huh?
Sorry, not to interrupt you. I think I need to be a lot more aware of, like, resource management.
Peach is all about resources. The character is pure... The most resource-based character, unless you consider Nana a resource. Because it's like, it's all about, like, do I have a turnip in my hand? Do I have a double jump? Do I have a float? Like, the vertical height at which you're floating is a resource, you know? Like, and so, yeah. But you can continue what you were saying if you have more to say.
No, that's pretty much it. I just think I need to also be aware of, like, maintaining my resource and making them not have theirs.
And when you're in a position where they have more resources than you, your goal is try to kind of exhaust their resources. Don't interact because they have more resources than you. You know, it's fighting a country with a bigger economy, basically. So
I also don't think I see, like, positioning sometimes as a resource. I, like, do it because I know that's what I'm supposed to do, and I'm like, okay, now I attack because I did the positioning. The step 2 is attack.
Yeah, try to think of it as, you know, you're fighting from the high ground type of thing.
Yeah, like, that's definitely what I've seen so far.
So, yeah, so when you do this, you're giving up action ability. Like, literally right here, 10,000% chance I would full hop straight up, throw the turnip, and float. And what are you going to do? Your options are get hit by the turnip, be stuck with no float, falling right here. I have a float. I get a bunch of pressure. I'll probably do something where I like drop out of my float. You might think an aerial's coming, and then I'll double jump past you, do a low back air, and down smash on like your shield. That would be like a common type of idea that I would have if I saw this. And if I jump and I full hop turnip throw and you drop out of this, now I still have this good position. Sure, you have a turnip, so like by having a turnip, you have a chance where if I'm up here, you have a chance to, jump and throw the turnip and try to get me out of this position. But like I already have the good position, I'm not expecting to get a win out of this position. But I'm not, if anyone is like no one is necessarily losing here if I full hop up and throw this turnip. But if someone is losing, it's you.
Yeah.
Like we don't really know who's winning. It's not really it's not a one situation, but I'm already floating up here and you're on the ground. Whereas, so so the Peach goes for literally the counterplay, a little bit different than I would have done it, but almost exactly the counterplay where he sees the fair, and he goes, okay, full hop, turnip throw, catches you dropping, and now he has the fair. And because you get hit by the turnip a little late, this is a combo. Or effectively a combo, right? Like, you're not going to really do anything to get out of that. I don't like the way they followed this up. Because you should immediately, this is a combo. You can just dash attack this or whatever, and they didn't capitalize on it. But okay. Okay, so maybe not, the greatest turnip throw on planet Earth, but also not necessarily a bad turnip throw. Like that one was kind of bad, obviously, because you're just like chucking it. But then this one's not bad, and so I'm not going to say you necessarily saw the turnip throw or the turnip pluck here, but this is kind of like another theme in the mashup of like, if your opponent is going to throw a turnip and while they're plucking it, you hit them with your turnip, that is kind of like, in Falco Dittos when the Falco tries to get a laser out, because if you have a laser on the other Falco, you can get another laser out before he gets a laser. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like this, where if you can throw your turnip, you're actionable while the turnip is in the air. So they just wasted a bunch of time plucking this. And so basically you're actionable here. So if you throw this and immediately full hop, and they're trying to pluck this turnip, and your turnip cancels it, they have no turnip, and you won the positioning battle. So that's kind of like a really good use for this low turnip throw here, is that like it cancels their turnip and you get positioning, and that's like really good, really nice to have. And so it doesn't work out exactly like that, but it still does. It still works out. Look at that. Look at how late this hit, and he doesn't have a turnip. Mm-hmm. You completely ruined the plan. Look at that. Bam, no turnip.
I've had that happen to me with like Marth Fair too many times.
And the thing with this down air, this is not an awful down air, and I've done this a lot of times because, it's ending like right about here where you can actually do something out of it. But at the same time, I think if you're trying to be solid at the matchup and just, get better at it, it's better to simply float and then, play neutral. Like, this is, you're going for a very, like, high-pressure situation, and it's, like, it's not bad to go for a high-pressure situation here, but I think, you're doing it here in lieu of, like, you're doing it because you don't realize that it's such a good idea to just float here and just kind of hang out.
I think another thing I have, like, a problem is, like, I generally know, like, okay, what the advantages are, but I'm so, like, wanting to throw out hitboxes and fight that like if I get in like the bad disadvantage, I'm always just like, okay, fine, I'll fight this way now, instead of like actually, because I just want to hit buttons instead of like, no, I'm at this height, this is a resource, so I need to use it.
Right, yeah, when you're in a bad position, your goal is expend their resources without fighting. Make them give up on their float and do a mix-up, but you're actually here. Now, even though you're in the corner, you're more even than if they were pressuring you from up here.
It's like you said, it's literally making like a 50-50 matchup. Like a 60-40
exactly. It's taking it, yeah. So like you have to create the imbalance, or else it ends up as literal like kind of nonsense of just spamming stuff. Um, this is a very minor thing, obviously, but dash attack after this is really, really nice, because if you down smash here, you're kind of like, please get hit by multiple hits, and like you're not gonna really get anything out of it. But if you do this into a dash attack, they go into this nice position here.
Yeah.
It's not even necessarily the best. I just want to say it's an option. The down smash here, perfectly good. Down smash here is totally fine. I also like, after this, just doing another instant aerial. Sometimes those can be really strong. Like, I've seen you pretty much exclusively go for back air down smash.
Yeah.
So, I'm just letting you know that there are other options. Back air dash attack
right.
is good if they DI away. If they DI straight up, it's kind of eh. But a lot of times they're DIing away here, kind of, because they're trying to get away from the multiple aerials. You can just literally back air this again a lot of times, like if you're quick. And that's like, there have been some nasty stocks I've done where I'll literally hit a back air here, and I'll do back air again, and they DI in again. Like, you do back air, float back air, full hop nair, and then they're like at 60 and they're off stage. Like, that can be really strong. Yeah, see, if they DI the dash attack up, then you kind of end up in this awkward situation.
Yeah,
so that's why you have to watch out for doing the dash attack off of that back air if they're gonna DI up. But if they're gonna DI out, it's really good. And it's kind of like, yeah, and if they DI out on your second back air, like float back air, they DI out, that's a dash attack, you know? So there's ways to keep the combos going, and maybe just explore a little bit beyond the down smash. Also, yeah, this is definitely bad, because after the up throw, they're guaranteed to be in that situation where they would be if they DI'd in on the dash attack. This is like the same.
Should have down throw there. I probably should have down throw there.
Always down throw or forward throw. Always.
Okay.
Forward throw is pretty much always good, and down throw is really good because it presents the most danger. Like, the idea where you're getting them up in the air and you're kind of limiting their options and you're trying to get them off of that. That is secret. That's what down throw actually gives you. Like, what you're looking for out of this is what down throw gives you, and what you don't want is what this gives you. Because now, look at, so you're like, you threw him into an advantageous position.
I gave him a resource.
And he's like, sick. So he just gets out of his hit stun and he has this. It's like, nice. So yeah, here's this concept coming true again, where he doesn't match your height. He goes for sort of this aggressive thing, and you just get above him and you get a free recovery, and you get the back air. That was actually, I think you got hit with that same thing last game.
I did.
And yeah, this is an example of why that double jump thing is really good. This one, like, that's super good. That's like a really common good mix-up that you could possibly consider using more.
I do need to double jump back air more.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, good dash tag. Ooh. So this is a really good turnip, because you're calling out the flaw in his float height. You're saying that's not a good float height, but what I would have liked is a full hop instant turnip throw. Because the turnip will still come out and hit him, because you throw it on your way up, and you're basically saying, look, your float is invalid, and I'm getting the better float height. And yeah, so you hit this, and it's fine. The nair here, the fair here is so much better. It's a lot better shield pressure wise.
Yeah.
Like right here, that'd be a lot nicer.
I definitely could have fired.
Ooh, yeah. You've got to watch out for these nairs. These are the nairs. I've beaten many people because they do nairs like this.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. So look, think about it based on what we know, right? Peach, really bad at ledge. If you're Peach, you never want to go to ledge. Every Peach knows that. So his options are on stage or up. Like, get way above you and float back to center. Or just go, like, air dodge to ledge right here. Or aerial to the edge. Like, right on the edge. So, this dashback, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And you actually wave dash away. And so you just gave him... You gave up your edge guard entirely. Like this, it doesn't make any sense. All you had to do here was full hop, and he's in a horrible situation. He can no longer go high, and if he comes back to the ground, you have 3 seconds of floating here to make his life miserable. One thing that I always tell people in this matchup and against Peach in general is you don't need center necessarily. You need more center. Like, you just need to be overall more central than your opponent. And so, like, if you're in a situation like this, and right here, this actually came up at the perfect time, and so this is just a psychotic turnip pull, honestly. Like, if we think about, like, the logic we've just been talking about, you should just, like, float right here and then throw out fairs. He's too low to do anything, and he would have gotten super smacked by a fair right here. So the issue with this is that you let him get back. Like, if you were gonna throw a turnip, you should, dash back to here and throw a turnip, because it's like, I still don't think you should have thrown a turnip, but if you were, you just need to, like, it's better to not really get a lot, but you're kind of in a better position, than, like, potentially get a lot, but you're not in a good position if you're wrong. Because the matchup is so much just based on, like, the asymmetry. Okay, this is actually a surprisingly common situation. And yeah, so when you're here, and Peach is floating, what are Peach's options? Peach can float high and down air, or she can land here with an aerial. That's it. She can't stay here forever. So what you should be trying to do is you should be trying to deal with this option and this option. But what this back air does, it deals with Peach floating here. You don't need to deal with Peach floating here. She'll run out of fuel.
Yeah.
Like, Peach being here is not a permanent state. She's forced to either go here or here. So by going for this back air, you give up covering one of those two options.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so yeah, this is once again sort of that same positioning thing coming up. So also, this is a slightly lower float height than you want. Just to mention that is, like, you notice that you didn't wait till the peak of the jump. So if you were in this position and then your opponent full hopped and did a slightly higher float, your turnips can't hit him anymore, and he can drop a back air on you. So you're literally losing. So, but yeah, you end up here, and you're so you're floating across the stage backwards towards them with a turnip. So you've already given up. Like, remember, you want to be the one to float second, because you have the most float time. So when you're doing this, you're like, look, I'm taking a good position. I'm all this height up. But you're not, because you're using up all of your float time getting over to him. And you're not even at a good enough height, and you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
This did nothing. You pulled a turnip, you turn backwards, you float all the way across the stage. He does the correct option. Correct-ish. I would have just preferred a full hop turnip throw here rather than wasting his double jump, but close enough. Positionally, it was fine. And he gets this, and then, you're at a disadvantage there. And look, so, yeah. See? So, this is the same concept, just comes up kind of over and over. Peach dittos are sort of repetitive in that sense, but it's an there's an intricate fight for the positioning, but the fight is always for the positioning. So it gets this, wave dashes back, you get this. When you're here, you're thinking, all right, Peach is either going to wave dash in here or try to full hop with me. I already have the height, so I would be a bit more worried about Peach wave dashing in here. I might full hop over and throw the turnip down and then float. Okay, so he went for the jump. But notice that when he has this height advantage and he's down airing like this, you're kind of, like, you don't want to jump in and fight this. You would just wave dash back, say, hey, he's almost out of float, and then just float up. Because he's going to run out, and you just float here, and you just jump up and float here, and now, he's forced to land, and then you have the float position.
I think the Slippy player is glitching. It says they have 4 stocks.
It's glitching a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah. I've never seen that before.
Me neither. And so, yeah, look how easy it is for them to poke holes in what you're doing if you're not thinking about, like, if you're not playing with the idea, like, if you're not playing with these positional ideas in mind, you might just jump at them like this and get hit by the turnip and be like, whatever, it's turnip damage,
Yeah.
But like when you look and you see this, they are playing this correctly. Where you are full hopping and you are floating at this height, they throw the turnip to cancel your float and they get their own float. And then they have a big advantage. And they miss the fair. But this is important to see that this is like a textbook like lost situation in the ditto. Of like, they have a turnip. You do not have a turnip. So you need to be aware that if you full hop float, they have a counter to your full hop float, which is full hop, turnip throw, float themselves. Mm-hmm. And like, just seeing this again, that is like, this is the textbook. You want to be doing this to other people. You know, this was like the most book of book situations in this matchup. Yeah, I think this person knows the matchup a little better because they get like this, and then what they're doing here is they're saying, okay, I don't want to just get under you and play that game. So what I'm going to do is try to get next to you and throw a turnip to like, basically the idea is to double jump up here, throw this turnip, cancel this, get down to the ground first, then while this peach is falling, then full hop and then get my positioning. Although that would be my idea in that situation. Yeah, dash attack made no sense there. Could have up smashed you too. Usually you want to DI away. Like, DI away, and then after you've DI'd the throwaway, then you kind of DI in, because they're going to usually dash attack you or something. But
I always think I am. I always think I am doing the correct DI, but I think I'm DIing away, but I always DI.
No, you're definitely popping up. Because the up smash doesn't work if you DI away. Okay, so look, here's that thing happening again. So you have your turnip. You throw it. Once again, this is that same short hop in turnip throw, where you're saying, like, you better not be standing here on the ground, and, like, why would they be doing that? They're going to be up here. So he actually lets you get away with it, and then rolls, so that was one option. But here's that thing again. When they have a turnip, he sees you full hop, he sees the float, cancel your float, get his own float mix-up. Going to even height with you. Super aggressive fair. Those are always fun. Yep, that was mostly correct, Edgeguard. What I say in situations like this... I mean, I know this isn't you, this is them, but it's just, you know, it's a ditto. The same thing is coming up. So, when this situation comes up, I agree with this throw, almost. Like, this isn't a bad throw. But the idea is that they should never have let you get past them. If they just hung out right here and force you to go down, then you're still in the corner when this is over. Mm-hmm. But because they let you get past them, then you're not. Notice, matching height. That's why they get the kill. They match your height. Right here. Match the height. Throw the turnip. Hit you out of it. You have no resources left. So you're in a really bad spot, and they get the hit. And this is just, you get the positioning advantage, but you're not using it for the positioning. You're just using it to rush them.
Yeah.
So, first of all, make sure you get the full height. This is really big. Like, don't float early like this. You have to wait like a couple more frames and get a little higher, and you'd be a lot safer from this. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Are you kidding me? That is terrifying. It's a heart attack and a half. Oh, wow.
It happened to me against Roby last set too.
Fair is fair. So, here we go. Watch you. This is this type of situation you want. So they come down, and you're here. And if they're on the ground, this float height is okay. Like, they're on the ground in the corner. This is like, basically, at this distance, you're saying, if you try to get up higher than me, I'm just going to hit you. So therefore, this slightly lower float height is okay, and it's like a little bit higher pressure because you can drop a float into them faster. So this is like not a bad idea in this specific position because they can't get above you really. And you're going for sort of a quick pressure. But then this one, you let them get above you. So here, hit them off. This is wonderful for you if you just full hop and then do that like sort of half full hop height right here. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? But because they get above you, then they get this down air and they get their own mix up. And yeah, so right here, you're maybe not going to get this edge guard. Your whole goal should just be stay more centralized than them. And if you had, then they would have landed with this back air, and you would have gotten the full hop float pressure.
Not letting them get past you.
Okay, that was not bad. But once again, doing this fair is literally worthless. If you had nared here, it would have killed. Fair at high percent is actually worthless. Here's a good example of you don't get the edge guard, but you stay more centralized than them. And look, you're not in a bad spot at all. This is still pretty good for you. You still have this pressure. And you lost the mix-up, but like that's gonna happen. You lost the mix-up in a good situation. That'll still happen. But at least you were fighting in a good situation, which increased your probability of success. That was weird, slippy issues. But
no, I think I gave up. I was so far behind.
I see. Like, okay. All right. Let me pull up a YouTube video.
Are you pulling up a peach set?
What was that?
Are you pulling up a peach set?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Why?
I was just wondering.
Okay. I just want to, just sort of grab like a random Armada set just so you can see it sort of in action. Wow. There have not been many high-level Peach Dittos played on.
There was a Polish Lod at SmashCon. Okay. I watched a little bit of that before. It's a pretty good set, actually.
Okay. So let's just go over this very quickly and see if we can see these concepts coming.
Yeah.
Let's do not the fountain game. Fountain's so scrappy. Let's do the battlefield. Okay. So, we'll do the same exact type of analysis on this. How much time? When did we... 124. Okay, so we're actually basically at time. I'll just go over this very quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
So look, so here's that same concept, hitting out of the float, getting the float height advantage here, and then playing out of it is critical. This is sort of like, you know, he's playing really high pressure. This is like objectively not a good fair because this Lod could have just floated up a little higher and then had the advantage. Yeah, Polish is kind of going for the ultra high pressure strat, which can work if the other Peach doesn't really realize what's happening. It's not a bad like shock strategy, but ultimately when both Peaches are playing correctly, it does go into this sort of positional game. Yeah, both these guys are pretty fast, so it's a little bit faster than what's going on in your match, but the same concepts.
They're also getting away with some of the stuff. They're getting away with some of these aerials that I can't really get away with because they act so fast out of them.
Right, but I would say that they're getting away with them because of neither of them are playing it perfectly. That's what I would say. I don't think that, you know, it's something to look at and be like, oh, like I should be getting away with these because Lod gets away with them. It's kind of like, no, like if Lod was playing Armada, he would not be getting away with those.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
Look at that nasty float pressure. Those work because he's already right on top of him, and there's no chance. Like if there's no chance for the other Peach to get above you, then it doesn't really matter how closely above you are compared to them.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Okay. Well, this might not be the best example because they've sort of made an implicit agreement not to really play the positional game too heavily, which you can do, but if one of them decides at some point during this set to start playing it a lot more patient, then the other person will have to adapt to that. So let me see.
I've definitely felt that.
Let me see if there's an FD game. No, they play the whole set on Battlefield outside of the Fountain game. So I think they're very focused on trying to play kind of aggro. So yeah, so you have situations like this where they're like, yeah, like we're having all this fun, down smash, I hit you, down smash. And it's kind of like, there was no way for either player to demonstrate superiority in those positions because they're not fighting for like they're just look at this just hitting each other like that's dead even nothing like there's no way to be winning here. It's just a bunch of trades and they're just sort of saying like well kind of your mentality with it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
which I clearly need to change.
And if you play the correct positional game, you can force any Peach on Earth to also play the positional game with you because the positional game will strictly beat this.
And I'm already aggro enough where like I'm down to play that game regardless. So once I finally get it, I just need to work on being, I guess, more patient is the right word in very simple terms.
Here's kind of a good example of this is Polish. So Polish gets him in the corner, the wave dash back, and he doesn't have space to full hop here because he'll just get nared or something. And so like this is a ditto. These are the same characters, but this one is clearly like destroying this one in this situation, and there's not a lot he can do.
Yeah, he can shield and then get mixed up.
And yeah, okay, so like let's take this what the Polish does, where it's like, okay, sick, got this really good down smash, then immediately just going for more pressure, and it's like, yeah, and then he loses the situation and dies. And it's like, wow, like maybe that wasn't the best option to just go in for the gamble, you know? And it's kind of like, yeah, it's fun to just sort of be like, who's the sicker Peach? We're both playing it out, but like,
yeah.
Let me just really quick.
It's just a gamble.
Let me just pull this up really quick. This is a very old set, but Peach Dittos haven't changed too much. Maybe they have. That full hop there is ugly. Okay, never mind. We're not watching 6 years ago. Everyone was bad. That was funny. I was like, yeah, they haven't changed that much. And I'm looking at like, never mind. Holy moly. That is a big difference.
Like, just thinking about Armada's playstyle or mindset when it comes to melee, like if he has that position, he's not giving it up. Like,
right. And if we had time to watch more of it, we would find moments where he plays to that game plan very effectively. There's just a lot of the decisions in 2015 were not quite as sound or technical. So
yeah, for sure.
But okay, I think we've gone over a pretty good... the lesson turned out sort of better than I thought. It's been a while since I played the Peach Ditto, so it took me a second to sort of get back in the zone for it. But,
yeah, and you were dreading Peach Puff.
I was dreading Peach Puff because it's just depressing. I just sit here and I tell you, like, you just wait for them to overcommit. That's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing you get, and I was like, this is going to be like a 10-minute lesson. Like, he's just going to hand me a 5 and we'll go our separate ways. Like... I was a little worried about it. I could give a Peach Puff lesson, but it's just ultimately going to be, you know, telling you to just shield a lot.
I just think I'm gonna leave disappointed regardless.
Yeah, like no, it's very depressing. It's the exact opposite of the Puff Peach or the Puff Peach lesson where the guy left feeling extremely empowered. Like, really? There's nothing they can do to me? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, wow. Like, he's just, I never realized it was so easy. And I'm sitting there, you
Thanks
know,
for
like,
that.
oh.
Thanks for that.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like I just ruined a bunch of people's weekend, you know, because the guy's going to go to a tournament and just make everybody sad. So, yeah, no, I'm a lot happier we went over the Peach Ditto. And I think we targeted some very good misunderstandings. And I feel like... This lesson I think will arm you with like the correct mindset of like you want to get better and better at fighting for that positioning.
Yeah, not just fighting for the sake of fighting.
Exactly.
Because I want to.
So all right, I think that was a good lesson. If you have any additional questions or concerns, hit me up. I'm gonna be doing YouTube uploads today, so this lesson will be up today because I'm a little bit behind.
Right. Sweet.
So anyway, I think do you have my Venmo stuff already, or should I send it to you again? Okay.
I got it. I'll send it to you.
All right, awesome. I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Bye.